In the West, we inherit the idea of law from those ancient conceptions of God, and it is even passed down into science, where we discuss laws of nature. But one recognizes more and more in the sciences that what we call laws of nature are simply observed regularities in the way things behave. And you, in order to observe regularities, you must look at things through something regular. That is to say, you must lay a ruler alongside them, or compare their behavior with the regular behavior of a clock. But clocks and rulers are human inventions. They are regular measures which we use for comparing the rates of change. Say, a clock is a measure of a rate of change. It's quite arbitrary. But we very easily compare our regulation measuring devices with what makes things happen, as if the sun rises because it's 6 in the morning. Now that's being completely backwards in one's thinking. And we get into the same confusion when we imagine, for example, that money is wealth. Here we have fantastic wealth, and we have the technological possibility of making everybody on earth the enjoyer of an independent income. We can't do it because people say, where's the money going to come from? Because they think money makes prosperity. It's the other way around. It's physical prosperity which has money as a way of measuring it. But people think money has to come from somewhere, like hydroelectric power or lumber or iron, and it doesn't. Money is something we invent, like inches. So you remember the Great Depression? When there was a slump? And what did we have a slump of? Money. There was no less wealth, no less energy, no less raw materials than there were before, but it's like you came to work on building a house one day, and they said, sorry, you can't build this house today, no inches. What do you mean, no inches? Just inches. We don't mean we got inches of lumber. Yes, we've got inches of metal. We've even got tape measures. But there's a slump in inches as such, you see. And people are that crazy. They can have a depression because they've got no inches to go around, or no dollars. That's all a lot of nonsense. But you see, because we get thinking backwards, making the metaphysical tail wag the dog, making the law rule things, whereas it doesn't. It's merely a way of measuring what happens.
In a society which is predicated on competition and really very often the ruthless exploitation of one human being by another, the profiteering of other people's problems, and very often the creation of problems for the purpose of profiteering, the ruling ideology will very often justify that behavior by appeals to some fundamental and unalterable human nature. So the myth in our society is that people are competitive by nature, and that they're individualistic, and that they're selfish. The reality is quite the opposite. We have certain human needs. The only way that you can talk about human nature concretely is by recognizing that there's certain human needs. We have a human need for companionship and for close contact, to be loved, to be attached to be accepted, to be seen, to be received for who we are. If those needs are met, we develop into people who are compassionate and cooperative and who have empathy for other people. So the opposite that we often see in our society is in fact the distortion of human nature, precisely because so few people have their needs met. So yes, you can talk about a human nature, but only in the sense of basic human needs that lead to certain traits if they are met, and a different set of traits if they're denied.
Risk. Accelerating change is making our world more vulnerable to global shocks. Shocks that don't respect national borders. Shocks that have the potential to shake whole systems and societies to their foundations. The World Economic Forum's Global Risks 2014 report analyzes 31 global risks. These risks are divided into 5 categories: economic, environmental, geopolitical, societal, and technological. By understanding their seriousness, likelihood, and potential impact, we hope to help our institutions develop strategies to defeat them and to mitigate against their harshest effects, as well as to help build communities and businesses that are resilient and adaptable. Leaders from business, government, and civil society have the foresight and collaborative spirit to reject short-term vision and vested interest and work together to find creative and innovative ways of protecting our people and our planet. Together, we can shape our global future.
The concept of nations solving the problems of the world is not the only solution anymore.
We need to do things differently.
Collaboration is no longer a choice, it's a condition of action. There are no important challenges that can be reached without collaboration these days.
There's immense potential there in terms of what we can do on a global basis.
About 3 or 4 years ago, I made a decision that I would attend the best conferences around the world to seek new ideas. So I got involved with the World Economic Forum.
The World Economic Forum is a great aggregator of people and of data.
It's really the only place where government and industry meets as partners.
You get large company CEOs, you get government leaders, you get academics, and now even more interestingly, I think we get the global shapers and the tech pioneers, and the YGLs. You've got this sort of youthful exuberance of ideas.
The World Economic Forum is the world's foremost multi-stakeholder organization to create a community of global leaders combining a peer-to-peer approach which creates a trust with toppling a digital community.
By being a strategic partner, we are in the Health Governors Forum, we are in the Consumer Lifestyle Forum. We're really engaged in the discussion where we feel we can bring our thoughts, our ideas, our innovation to make an impact on the world.
Of course we compete in the big world, but here we cooperate.
It's a way for people working on very complex problems to come together, exchange information, learn new information, things that they would never be able to find out in their individual circles.
The forum is providing a level of synchronization of the thoughts between those leaders.
The forum has been the platform of creating one of the first initiatives by the private sector on a worldwide level to start an anti-corruption act, long before stock markets started demanding anti-corruption laws.
It's about shaping the agenda related to the industry, related to regions, related to difficult issues. Companies have an opportunity to really play a leadership role in shaping that agenda and where those issues evolve and how we come together to solve them.
Fast-growing companies learn well from a conversation with the larger companies. In 4 years, I've taken back every year a concept which I've introduced into our executive team and business.
There is also the national issue to come and say, this is where we as a country are at, what is it that we're doing to be investor friendly.
It gives you practical exposure to the key issues of development.
This is an international movement to make every society a better place to live in, better place to invest, better place to do business.
And it benefits everybody to learn from everybody's successes and most especially in avoiding everybody's failures.
The question becomes, what is it that we want the world to look like in 2030? And participating in defining that evolution, I think, is really exciting.
This is an investment for our company and all the other companies that participate. It's not something we do because it makes us feel good. It's something we do because we want to become smarter and better equipped to be part of a successful company as a result of this relationship.
When everybody buys into the process, then you are pretty much assured of success going forward.
Hyperconnectivity fundamentally redefines the way enterprises, individuals and governments relate to each other. Combine it with new ways to create values for businesses and society, and you will see why leaders are so desperate for a roadmap that will help them to start understanding and embracing this new reality.
The Global Information Technology Report analyzes the drivers and impacts of ICT on the economy, allowing countries to measure and benchmark their ability to leverage this technology. Through its Network Readiness Index, the report measures the ICT infrastructure, the cost of accessing this infrastructure, and the presence of the necessary skills to ensure an optimal use. The uptake and use of ICT by government, business and individuals, the business innovation environment and regulatory framework, and finally, the economic and social impacts of ICT. There are several interesting findings, but we would like to highlight 4. The first one is that the Nordic countries and the Asian tigers continue to dominate the digital landscape and they remain in the top 10 of our ranking. The second finding relates to a big gap between developed countries on the one hand and developing countries and emerging countries on the other hand, not only in terms of ICT infrastructure, but in terms of the benefits that ICT can provide to improve their competitiveness and well-being. This divide is happening also within regions, in Europe and Asia, in North Africa and the Middle East, in Sub-Saharan Africa and in Latin America. The fourth finding relates to the presence of an investment threshold. There is a certain minimum investment. Once this threshold has been achieved, we observe that there are increasing marginal returns to those investments.
While countries and international organizations use it to share their policy experiences, industry partners utilize the report to highlight their thought leadership.
We hope this report will help policymakers, business leaders and the civil society to take action and unleash the full potential of ICT.
My name is Sheila Lirio Marcello.
My name is Arturo Condo.
My name is Ida Augen.
Felix Maradiaga.
Sharmina Bechinoy.
It's Ruben Abraham.
I'm Lisa Witter. My name is Len Kibayashi.
I'm Esteban Bullrich.
I'm Priv Bredu.
A young global leader is a bold, brave, action-oriented, entrepreneurial leader who decided to use their leadership talents to make the world a better place.
As a society, as a community and as the world, we need to have difficult conversations if we are to overcome the problems.
For the first time, I can see that everybody from government and companies and social innovators are trying to bring new ideas into the table.
The YGL community offers a platform for young leaders to share their ideas and to agree on common values so they could be more effective on the work that we all do in trying to change the world.
It's simply one of the most remarkable groups of people that I've ever interacted with, and yet actually having their feet to the ground.
The community is made up of leaders from all walks of life. 50% are business leaders, we have societal leaders, social entrepreneurs, politicians, intellectual and academic leaders from over 70 different countries around the world. More than 42% of our community are women leaders. We bring them together to learn from one another, translate their success into global significance.
It's very important to learn from their expertise, to take help from them, to understand how they tackle issues in their own countries.
And I've learned from them that I should be taking a step back and looking at a big picture and seeing a way how I can contribute back to society.
Things like Deworm the World, which has saved 41 million kids and kept them in school. I'm thinking of Global Dignity that was in 50 countries.
That has immense impact on the lives of literally hundreds of millions of people.
A group of us YGLs who are visiting a community in Lima of indigenous people from the Amazon to reimagine what a community looks like made out of Legos, to look at what are some of the things the community might need to help it thrive and have less violence.
They knew how to get this opportunity of us going there to persuade the politics to come and also to move the community to say what they wanted.
The World Economic Forum connects the work on the ground to the discussions that happen at high levels. It's so important that we remember why. It's about the people.
We are responsible for changing the world. We are responsible for making the world a better place for our kids.
That's something that I want to strive for and I want the world to strive for. It's hard, but I think if each of us can strive for that in our own way, that is really, really powerful.
I'd like to welcome all of you that have dedicated your lives to the climate change movement.
In June 2013, 500 young leaders from 134 countries travelled to Istanbul, Turkey, for Phase 1 of Global Power Shift.
We want climate justice! We have to defend our planet!
I heard about this amazing opportunity to talk about how we were building this movement together.
For 5 days, we shared skills and told our stories.
We come from diverse communities and each of us have a unique story to tell.
Heard from movement leaders and sharpened our strategies.
This is a concrete option for coordinated global actions centering around dirty energy.
The spectrum of allies. It's a really important concept to understand when you're starting your campaign.
I've been inspired by what you guys have been doing, and I'll take that energy back to my home country.
Now, we have returned home to launch Phase 2, creating a national power shift in every country.
If we're going to seriously address the climate crisis, this movement has to be at the global level.
We have to hold our governments accountable. We have to take on the vested power. The fight against climate change will not be won until we win the fight against fossil fuels.
We are building a diverse, collaborative network.
All of us are connected.
Together, we can meet this challenge.
We are joining around the world to say the time has come.
Join us.
Hãy tham gia cùng chúng tôi.
Únete al movimiento.
Join us.